So you're probably wondering about the difference in the result. Now I find that when the eggs are warmer and at room temperature, they tend to whisk up a bit better. They have a lot more volume despite both being whipped for the same amount of time at the same speed. And because of that, you do get a nice meringue layer on this one, which is a bit missing on this version here, as you can see just visually. I find that when the temperature of the eggs are warm and at room temperature, they tend to hold a lot more volume, whereas when it's cold, it doesn't actually whip up as well and doesn't have as much volume as when it's at room temperature. This also means that when you add the warm chocolate mixture, the overall batter temperature is a lot cooler on this side here when the eggs are fridge cold as compared to when the eggs are at room temperature. Once you add the warm chocolate, whilst the temperature does rise, it doesn't actually rise as much. It actually causes the chocolate to cool down, whereas this has more of an even temperature throughout because the eggs start at a already slightly warmer temperature. So when you add that chocolate mixture, it doesn't cause the batter to seize up as much. And so this is what I feel does affect the result. So I know sugar level supposedly is meant to affect the shine that you get on the brownie as well, but as you can see, both of these are the same here. The recipe is exactly the same, and yet the results are totally different. They're both baked for the same amount of time. Everything is identical in these two versions apart from the eggs. So a few things if you want to achieve that glossy result, I would say as a takeaway is ensure the eggs are at the right temperature, be sure your chocolate mixture is a bit warm, and just work quickly. Do not overmix. Try to retain as much of that aeration that you've got in the original whipping of the eggs, because that will give you that meringue consistency on here, which I feel is really nice and lovely, which is missing on this version here. So this brownie basically has three things that I really like about it. One is that nice glossy brownie sheen on top that a lot of people look for. You've got a nice meringue layer that's crunchy on top and has a nice crisp to it. And below it you've got a soft fudgy layer. And if you let it sit overnight, this actually starts to turn slightly chewy, which I really enjoy the texture of.